Hello and welcome to episode 230 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is the singer of one of the best British bands on the scene right now, Dream State. That's right, I'm joined by Jessie Powell. Jessie is an absolute force to be reckoned with, one of the best singers out there, and I truly mean that. She really is a phenomenal talent, and I'm so glad that she gets to join me on today's episode of Mark and Me. We hit it off straight away. The chemistry's there from the moment we say hello, and we've talked since, and it's been such a great success on YouTube. But here it is for you to listen to, hopefully on Apple Podcasts or Podomatic or Spotify or wherever you find your podcasts. But the interview is coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. But before I give you that, let's quickly touch base and talk about my last episode. It was a 2-part special, and hand on heart, I think it was probably the best episode I've done in years. It was with the amazing Frank Carter. Again, someone that I have so much respect for. Their brand new album, yes, the band Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, is out now. They've just finished touring the UK, some of the best live shows you'll see, and just unbelievable. I also want to say a massive thank you to Frank for taking the time to share it. We've been texting since, and that tattoo is going to happen. But let's get back to today's episode. Jessie from Dream State, an absolutely incredible guest. So I think the best thing to do is to get straight to it now. So here's me and Jessie talking all things music.
Is this a dream or reality? I don't care, it's making me feel so alive. Life's too short to care. I like the way it feels so good, but I don't care, oh yeah, 'cause I'm so dreamy.
So Jessie, thank you for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
What I love to do with all guests that come on the show is take it right back to the very start. So before Dream State, before all the music sort of entered your life, can you remember that first album that maybe you bought with your pocket money or was given to you that made you absolutely fall in love with music?
I think I remember buying from Woolworths when that was a thing.
I miss Woolworths.
Yeah,
I miss the pick a mix.
I was about to say I really miss the pick and mix, the foam bananas and the cherry cola things.
Oh, the best.
The album. There's a couple actually, but the two. Can I say two?
You can say as many as you want.
Okay, so two that really stick out was one was the Limp Bizkit album.
Was it Chocolate Starfish or was it before that? Yeah.
Sorry, Starfish, yeah. And I remember going out and buying Linkin Park, but like, do you remember like when they collab with Jay-Z?
Yes.
And it's like, that was like, obviously I do love my trap, I love my rap, like I'm really diverse in music. So for me to hear like Chester with like Jay-Z, obviously there's always a bit of rap element in Linkin Park, but then like to have that, yeah, just the collab was, I still think it's up there with one of my favorite albums of all time. So those two really stand out for me, and that was when I first realized I could scream, because I just kept copying Chester. I was like 12 and I just kept singing along, and my mom was like, Jessie, does that hurt? And I was like, no. And she was like, you sound exactly like him. And I was like, I love him. Like I just loved his tone and the way he just pushed his voice. And then I do love nu metal, so yeah, Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park were the two albums that stand in my head.
It seems to be making a bit of a resurgence now. Like everyone's obsessed with Linkin Park. Korn have had like a massive like return, which is amazing. I only saw Limp Bizkit early last year, and now they're playing obviously Download. And it just seems that everyone's now getting back into the new metal scene, which is great, because at the time, even though it was huge, I remember walking around in a hoodie of Korn and people would be like, oh, you fucking Grebo, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, completely. I remember walking around in school, like my Linkin Park hoodie. It was a genuine hoodie, and like people would be like, oh, you goth.
Yeah.
And now people are buying it from like H&M, like making their own collab. But no, I think we were absolutely spoiled in the sort of early 90s with what we had. And I think, yeah, for me, I still love Linkin Park. And I think there's elements of our music where people have referred it to a bit of like new metal vibes, and I'm really glad, because that's what in the studio I've really gone for. Like my kind of like rappy scream is very inspired by like those two bands actually. So yeah.
I was listening to you guys all week, obviously on the lead up to this interview, and your later stuff, especially the new stuff that's just about to come out, the guitar tones and everything is quite taking me back to that era. I'm not saying it's exactly like Korn or Limp Bizkit, it's not that heavy, but it's definitely got
inspired
that
by
distortion, it's definitely got that overdrive, it's definitely got that kind of feel. It's taking me definitely down those roads, so it's
I loved
definitely
it.
hearing that.
Thank you. I'm really grateful you heard that, because that is definitely what we were going for. And I think one other thing is like I'm classically trained in opera, and I'm quite open that I love classical music. Like I'm really inspired by opera. So I really wanted to incorporate, or I guess just showcase my vocal skill set in this mini album. And I feel like I was really given the opportunity to not only do like bits of opera, bit of like raspy rapping and pitch fry, and just really show people what my vocals can do. But I really am glad that you heard that new metal vibe. We're kind of like Evanescence meets Linkin Park, but then Dream State.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it, to kind of label yourself, but you're not too far away. And I think what always interests me, especially on your musical journey, you mentioned some incredible albums to start those foundations, but live music is where it changed for me. I've mentioned it many times on this podcast, too many times, but I was lucky enough that one of my first ever gigs was Green Day. And it was during their Dookie tour, so it was before they'd blown up massively. And they were playing stuff like When I Come Around and all this, but it blew my mind, and I was blown away by the fact that three musicians could make so much noise and sound so tight and so like well rehearsed, but it's still a punk band. And I was wondering what those first gigs were that maybe you attended as a teenager that stood with you still today.
We had a thing when I was younger. Like my dad used to I'm from Worcester, like a little place called Worcester, and he used to drive me to Birmingham because I wasn't quite old enough to maybe he didn't really want me getting the train and stuff back home after a gig. So he'd wait like just around Birmingham. But we were really lucky to have something called like Taste of Chaos.
Yeah,
and
I've been many times.
Yeah, it was like where I got to see like The Used and like
Yeah.
all these amazing American bands. And I honestly like a lot of my inspiration has come from like that era. But in terms of what blew me away, I'd say The Used live when I was younger, I was just like, what is this noise? Like the Taking Back Sundays. But one gig that I did go to see, and it was Green Day, and it was my dad again, legend, dropped me off in Milton Keynes, and it was in like a bowl.
I was at that show, the Milton Keynes Bowl gig, which was just massive.
Massive. And like I think we managed to get some people to buy us alcohol. We were like 15 and we were like running wild around this field. Like you say, just watching these men, like to me, the simplicity of like the way they're able to just stand there and just blew my mind. So that was up there still with one of the best shows of my life. And another show that really sticks for me and something I've manifested for like 20 years is I saw Flyleaf play at Download when I was in my teens. And I remember saying like, I remember just looking to the left of me and being like, watching this woman, like she was in like a skirt, but she kind of looked like a hippie. She had like no shoes on, and she was like really like, you could tell she was really in tune with like the energy of the air. And I just love how she like presented herself, and she would just scream like a man. And I remember like my family being like, you can do that, Jess. And I was like, I remember just being like, I'm going to do that. And I was really set then after seeing Flyleaf, like, and I just remember constantly like I've been in like bands since I was quite young, and always like throwing that, like just doing like the things I'd seen like Flyleaf do or like The Used do, and people being like, what are you doing? I'd be like, I just want to get low. And then I remember seeing like Suicide Silence and watching like him do like he like got down on this like this crow, like this crab, and I remember just being like, that's it. Like I'm so inspired by so many shows, but there's Suicide Silence, Flyleaf, and I think like seeing The Used for the first time. a mixture of all of those has made me who I am as an artist, because a lot of people are like, why is she like, I'll do the crab crawl. Like, I'm not afraid like to get really low and just windmill my hair. Like I just, yeah, God, we're so lucky. The more I talk about what I've seen, I'm like, how lucky to have had those experiences, especially with Lacey Sternham when she was like young and like they were at their top of their game, and she came on with bare feet, and I sort of taken that on board for a couple of the shows until I got like a splinter, and I really regret
never again.
it. Looks cool for like photos and things, but then like I got a load of weird inappropriate, like just weird, just like people offering me money for like pics, and I just think, would you ask a guy for that?
It's weird, the world out there, isn't it? It's
put my shoes back on.
Yeah, it's safer. From avoiding any kind of bad pieces of wood going in, or just freaks wanting more pictures of your toes.
Yeah,
it's wise what you've done, but I don't know your journey before Dream State. So obviously you're talking about these times in Birmingham watching these amazing bands and your family recognizing you had a talent and you could scream, but you could also get those low notes. When I hear your voice sometimes, have you ever heard the band Guano Apes?
I haven't actually.
Check them out, because the singer was one of those singers back then that had that low depth as well, instead of just the high sort of Paramore elements. It was a lot more oomph and like drive to their vocal, and that reminds me of, especially when I've seen you live, your performance. And I was wondering when it became a reality to you, not just singing in front of your family, and actually everyone's gone through the whole college bands and school bands, but is that how your journey started?
Yeah, so I'm really fortunate, like my family, like I say, recognise I'm not massively academic, and I'm not ashamed of that, but what I have got, I'm extremely creative. Like, you give me an instrumental and I'll give you a melody and lyrics. Just like, that's something I find very easy, and I always have. I've been writing songs since I was like 6-7 years old. Like, genuinely would, like, someone would be playing the piano next to me when I used to have piano lessons, and I'd start singing a song over it, and my piano teacher would be like, what are you singing? And I'd be like, a song. And like, I've got like writings of me in my early teens, like really emo lyrics, but like, yeah, I've always just had that ability to be able to write like what people call now hooks, or like a chorus that's really, really catchy. And for me, the journey started really when I was in like a stage school, where I used to get, because I wasn't really like I say academic, I used to be able to leave school and go and be in these pantomimes, and they would sometimes be like 3-4 shows a week, and I'd do them like religiously, like love being in the pantomime, love being on stage. And then so like that was like probably like I was quite young then, like 8 or 9, and then because I used to get sent out of class quite a bit, I'd have to go and sit with like the choir teacher, which was not a punishment, it was like a luxury. And she'd be doing choir like every hour, but with people's slots. So I'd always just be, again, she'd be like, here's Jess again, like, what have you done now? And I'd be like, I just spoke too much or whatever. So I would be sat with this choir teacher. Her name was Mrs. Chu, and I've tried to find her, because she's really inspired me to like be who I am and perform. But I sang in the church. I'm Catholic. I'm classically trained in opera, so church singing was my youth. Sang in like my local church on a weekly basis. Sometimes still attend like Christmas Eve mass with my dad, and I just love all the acoustics. And everyone's definitely had a few proseccos, so everyone's just going in, and it's like magical. So my journey started, I will say, very young. They realised I could sing quite high, very young, so I was pushed in the choir, and it was where I could just focus. Like, I would really just focus on the singing and the songs. So I kind of just got pushed there, because it probably gave everyone an easier life. But I'm grateful, because I think that's truly where I got my lung capacity from, my stamina, my ability to sing. I could sing like 3 hours. I'm very confident based on knowing what I did in the choir. Like, I could just keep singing, and it keeps getting, because it was daily. Being a Catholic, it was almost like you'd wake up and sing a hymn. Lunchtime, there'd be hymns. End of the day, there'd be songs. So thank you, primary school, for that capacity you've given me. And then in terms of a band, when I was 13, there's like a local venue in Worcester, and I was really friendly with the son. It's called the Mars Bar, and I was really friendly with the owner and his son, who played guitar. So I was always jamming on my acoustic and singing with him. He's a fantastic singer. I don't know why he's not like mega famous, but yeah, I'd say from like 12, 13, I've been singing with a guitar and doing like covers with people. And then I joined my first band when I was like 13, 14. And then I started getting the train to Birmingham because there was like, opportunities to like be in like the bands I wanted to be here. And I kind of never left that scene. Like I've always been like, yeah, I've been in like 4 bands in Birmingham. My biggest band I was in that I think had some success, we got signed off our first gig to In at the Deep End Records, which back then were really big. Like they had like Feed the Rhino, Silosis. I was in a band called Aurora, and I fronted that for 5.5 years. I'm self-managed, self-booking, and I got to play like Slam Dunk, Takedown. I did some really cool things on my own. Like I talk about this a lot because 10 years ago, I was usually the opener. I was always opening.
Yeah.
Big bands would come to me, like big bands would come up to me and be like, "You're really good. Like you're really, really good." And I'm like, "Thank you." And then like I had a full circle moment last summer where I got to be main support to Heart of a Coward. But throughout my whole career, in my early 20s, late teens, I was always opening for them.
Of course.
Always there, opener. Like festivals would see me and they'd be like, "Oh, we need a girl. We haven't got any girls." And it would usually be me and Marmozets were usually the only 2 girls in a green room. So me and Becca were usually the only 2 girls in a green room. And I remember looking around being like, where are the girls? And then what was really refreshing this summer is that it's so different. But 10 years ago, I was trying to make it. And yeah, I think Aurora was my biggest band that I can say where my journey really took off. And that's where I think the boys found me, because they saw some successes that Aurora had. But I kind of wish like all of the success I'm having now, I just sometimes wonder why, or everything I believe happens for a reason, but I sometimes wish this could have all been happening when I was young and really hungry.
Of course.
I get sometimes confused. Like I'm still the same vocalist. I can still do all the same skill set. But why is it now that
It's like a decade later?
It's like 15 years later, I've been given the main support slots to a band I've supported 4 times already, but always opened. And I just don't, it still doesn't, so I can't digest why, when I was always told by everyone I ever met that I was very talented. So I just kind of feel really...
Perhaps the roads we're leading to now, even though it might not feel like it, and even though it's taken a long journey and setback after setback, and you're right, 15 years ago, all I could ever think of if I saw a female bands, the longer was like Garbage, Paramore, Marmozette's absolutely incredible British band. There's not enough, but I have seen, by going to festivals over the last few years, a huge increase, and it's a lot better to see. And it feels like maybe it's just timing for you. Maybe it is fate, and I don't always know if that's real, but maybe it was waiting and going through the bad times and always being the opening act to then appreciate the reward when it was no longer that.
Yeah, I agree. I truly think that's probably why because everyone I meet is like, God, I'm so grateful to have this fight finally. Like, honestly, I feel like I've waited 20 years to be doing just what I'm doing now. Like, and I know everyone has to graft, and I understand that, but I just feel like I still really thank the guys. Like, we're all sat here in a house just jamming, and like, I'm just so grateful. What the hell? How am I doing this now? Like, it feels like a pinch me moment. But I want to point back quickly to what we were saying about the girls, because this summer was so refreshing for the first time in what felt like forever for me. Bearing in mind I've had a bit of time out the scene, so I can't speak for the last 7-8 years, but I remember being in a green room and I had Debbie from Harriet, Alice from Lake Malice, Charlie from As Everything Unfolds. The list goes on and on and on. And I remember just looking around, getting a sandwich and having a glass of water and looking around the room and being like, here we fucking go, ladies.
Finally, yeah.
Like, yeah, like these women are spectacular. And I'm just like, again, like going back 10 years, I'm like, I remember almost being quite walking into a green room and feeling really like I'm quite a confident girl, but sometimes I would feel a bit like, and then they'd think I'm the girlfriend. Someone would be like, oh, can you wait outside now? Like, this is just bands. And I'd be like, I'm in the band.
Yeah.
So it just feels like you say, there's this really exciting switch, and I'm taking everything I can, like watch this space, because I've got a short window being a woman, you know, who's not 19. I've got to just go for this 100 with everything I've got to get to what I want, because I don't have the luxury of giving it another 20 years.
What's the main story of Dream State then? So obviously I know that they had a lineup change with two of the members leaving, and to replace a singer in a band is a huge risk. You see many bands lose a guitarist or drummer and change lineups many times. But to change a vocalist changes the dynamic, changes the sound, changes the songs, changes the melodies. Was it a case of auditions, or they reached out to you and knew you're the one from what you'd done previously? Or how did it actually come about that it was finally, you're now ready to join Dream State?
Yeah, great question. So they reached out, well, Alid reached out to me on Facebook, and he was like, hey, I'm not sure if you'd be interested, because they must have had a look on my profile and they could see I was still doing covers, but not playing live. So they were like, I'm not sure if you'd be interested, but like, someone's put your name forward because we're looking for a singer who can sing and scream. Here's my band. I don't know if you've heard of us. Here's a couple of tracks. If you are interested, would you be interested in showing me some vocal takes of these, and maybe we could have a Zoom and sort of have a conversation. Now, I remember opening this email, and this is a really weird situation, because a month prior, I'd been approached to audition for a death metal band, which has been my dream, to front, just no singing, just pure, like just pure gut rolls, which I wanted to really push myself. And I've been out the scene for ages, and I was like, go for it. And I went for it, and I really put myself out there, like just went for it. And I remember basically the feedback was like, we're a little bit concerned. We've got a few concerns, because like, obviously you're married, you're in your 30s and you're a woman. So we just don't know how our audience is going to react to you. I'm not gonna lie, I've never cried. I cried feeling very, I put myself then in this box of like, I knew it. And why did I go and do that? Like, I felt really stupid. And I was like, and then when I heard back my audition video, I was like, that's a really good vocal take. Like, it's so annoying that because I don't have a penis, I'm not being given a chance. I was down about that for a while. And then 3 weeks passed, opened my email, opened my Facebook, and Ali had a message. And I said to my husband, no one's going to want to see me get low. Like, I was really in my head. I was like, no one's, I'm married, I'm in my 30s, no one's going to give a shit. I'm not doing it. I'm not putting myself through it again. And my husband was like, Jessie, have you heard this song? Like, it sounds like this couldn't be a more better suited band to your ability. And I remember hearing White Lies and being like, that's familiar. That's a familiar song. So anyway, I thought I'd go a bit above and beyond. So I went all the way to Oz in Folkestone at Hidden Track Studio. He's a good friend of mine from when we were on the same label, when he was in Feed the Rhino. And I went all the way to Oz, told him about my opportunity, and he'd wanted to work with Dream State pre me. So he was like, let's fucking do it. I drove 5.5 hours to Folkestone, banged out 3 songs, paid him for as though he was like my producer for mix master, drove all the way back. Then I went to a venue, Uproar in Birmingham, and they really told them about my opportunity. They gave me access to their stage, and I even went above and beyond, so much so that I did my friend Josh film me doing what would be if I was on stage like live to one of their songs, and Jack at Uproar was doing the lights for me. Anyway, I sent Alid this video of me doing White Lies live and all these mix and mastered copies of every song he'd asked me to learn. And I remember him replying back being like, oh my God, I only wanted you to like hold your phone in your bedroom. Like, what the hell? And I was like, I've got one chance. My husband's told me that I'd be doing myself an injustice to myself if I didn't go for this. So you either go in, or
Oh, yeah.
don't bother. I'm all or nothing me. And he was like, okay, do you want to jump on a Zoom? And I was like, yeah. And then we kept like zooming each other and talking about plans and all this really exciting stuff. But I remember like 3 weeks later being like, sorry, just to clarify, am I in the band? He was like, fuck yeah, 100% you're in the band. I was like, sorry, you never actually said. And he was like, I just thought that was pretty obvious.
That's incredible.
Like, you're in the band. And then like we met May 2022 for our first practice. We released Taunt Me October 2022, and we released Me as like the new face to the world. And then 2023 was just like, we were like main support on nearly every festival going this like last summer, tours. And what happened next, I can only say, is like, sometimes if you walk through a door, you're gonna get the rewards. And I'm just glad that I really do thank my husband for giving me that push to like believe in myself. Because I was a bit scared, like, do I want to be a replacement singer? I'm going to get terrored. But Taunt Me went down better than any of us expected. And I think because I had a bit of a following from my years in fronting bands previously, a lot of those followers sort of latched on, and then some of the OG fans took real shine to me. So they kind of encouraged everyone else to like be nice to me. And the rest is history. Like, it's just been an absolute whirlwind.
I was going to say the word whirlwind. I thought to myself, it must be a bit hard to take a step back because you're so busy and so full on, and with the release coming out and download and the festivals, it must be a bit too hard to kind of take a step back as an outsider and see what's actually happened.
Yeah, so I was working, like, I've worked in the corporate services for like 20 years, and I was working full time and doing a full time busy job, and all of this lovely stuff. And what happened was, I actually got time to actually digest this all in August, because I unfortunately got made redundant last August. And whilst I've been juggling all the plates of touring and festivals with Dream State, videos, songs, we're just back to back. We just want to be consistent. I got made redundant in the August, and my husband was like, do you know what, Jessie? I think you need to, you get a bit of a redundancy package, and I've had a bit of like savings, which was not a lot, but my husband was like, I think you need to, with how busy the band's getting and all these opportunities that are opening for you, I really think, because I've been pretty much self-booking Dream State all of last year.
Yeah.
With self-managed, so like we're busy, I do a lot of the admin. I remember having that conversation, like, okay, I've been made redundant. Do I want to go back to another, like, grind that exhausts me at the end of the week? And then I have to go and play a show, and then I have to drive some. So, cut a long story short, I just decided, by me being made redundant, to take that as a sign to have a year where I just fully fall into Dream State and write music, be a musician, like, have time to digest. Because a bit like what you just said, like, I just was doing all these amazing things and not having a minute. Before I'd blink, I'd be back at my desk dealing with work. So I never got any chance to actually like take it all in. And then when I did get made redundant, and I decided to be right, I'm going to dedicate a year to Dream State and see what happens, we got booked on the funeral for a friend reached out to us and asked us to open their arena show. We got signed to a booking agent, a tonal, like in October. We got invited on tour with As December Falls across the whole of Europe for like 5 weeks. And I thought, do you know what? I think God is like giving me this. I think now is my time. Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, I'm like goosebumps head to toe when I explain this journey, because I really think that like someone above is being like, right, you've persevered, you've been through your shit, you've slogged. Now
You've
it's time.
earned it, yeah.
Yeah, I really think my time is to shine now, and I don't feel like by any means I'm the best in the business, but I certainly know that if you come to a Dream State show, I'm gonna put on the show of my life for you.
Every I follow you guys on Instagram and Facebook, and I see a lot of videos, and I see when you're playing festivals, and all the photos are really captivating because I see you in the crowd. I see you giving it absolutely everything, blood, sweat, tears. Um, no one can take that away from you. You go on there and you basically try and get every single person in that crowd moving, or at least when they leave that tent or that arena, they say, fucking hell, that front woman was incredible. Like, hats off to you. You are doing the work of many people's dreams, and it's awesome because you could have shied away and been like, I'm a replacement new singer in a band and I'm going to try and win people over slowly and hope people start to warm to me and then accept the change in the band. But you went out there and went, no, I'm Jessie. This is still the band you're going to love, but I'm Jessie and I'm going to be Jessie. And that's
Absolutely.
brave, but it paid off.
I appreciate that, and don't get me wrong, like imposter syndrome definitely is a thing, and I decided when I took on this journey to go completely straight edge so that I could be truly present. Like, I spent my teens being drunk on stage and thinking I was a rock star. How about go and put on the show of your life? So I've not drank alcohol for like 18 months now, and whilst I've stopped binge drinking, I took up binge eating. So whilst I'm like a couple of stone heavier since joining Dream State, what I will say is that I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. So I think everything, weight comes and goes. I'm not stressed about that, but I think there was so much pressure on me when I joined, and this expectation I had in myself that I had to like deliver to all these like eagle-eyed waiting for me. It felt like a lot of people were waiting for me to like fuck up. And
Yeah.
I just kept like comfort. I just feel like I comfort it. And obviously not drinking, you don't, not that it's, some people have it as a bit of a crutch, take the edge off. So like before shows, not having a can to like just, I've been like having like my
No
Fanta.
Dutch courage, yeah.
Yeah, so like Fanta's my new like Fanta and Coca-Cola are my shot of tequila. And I have a bit of Fanta before I go on stage, and I feel it. I'm like on top of adrenaline. I'm like bouncing off the walls. So I am glad I went for it, but I will be honest that it's been like mentally, like I think the first 6 months I was a little bit in my head, and then it wasn't until I started getting all these like bigger slots and these bigger shows and the bigger crowds and the bigger like fan mail in my own personals, like daily I'll wake up to like lovely messages, thanks to all of the fans and my family supporting me as much as they are and telling me like I'm good enough. I'm ready to just absolutely destroy 2024. I think 2023 was like a good warm up for me, finding my feet with the band, getting to know the guys.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, yeah, I just think I'm a dangerous contender in this scene. I think right now because I've, like I said earlier, as a woman in her 30s, I don't have a 20-year window. So my purpose is to make sure that anyone who comes to one of our shows leaves that show and says, what a fucking show. That's what I'd expect. Like, if you're going to pay money to see us, I want people to like remember it. I want someone else to join this podcast in 10 years and say a highlight for me was watching Jessie Powell in Dream Day. That's like my goal. Like, there's loads of little girls I see in the crowd watching me, and like that's so important that they are inspired. And even if that's all I do to a handful of people, then I can bow out gracefully when the time is right.
Do you look at your career? Obviously, the highlight is now. It's all led to this that we've talked about today. I put in for Funeral for a Friend at the arena. Was it Cardiff? Is that right?
Yes.
I mean, surely moments like that are just, I wouldn't be able to get my head around it. Casually Dressed in Deep in Conversations, one of the greatest albums of all time. It changed my life. So I'd be sitting there pinching myself thinking, we've just warmed up ready for one of the best Welsh bands that have changed the scene.
Trust me, I manifested that on Sapnin podcast. So that
Yeah.
was like the February before they got me on the show, and they were like, "What would be your dream gig?" I was like, "Oh, if I could support a funeral for a friend, I'd hire." And they asked me, and when I found out it was an arena, bear in mind, I'm still digesting playing to like 400, 900. Trees was like a couple of thousand. So I'm still digesting all this. Oh, do you want to play the arena to like 6,000? Sorry, what? So what I decided from that is I did a lot of like breath work because I love yoga. So
Yeah.
I did a lot of practice to like, kept telling myself every day, like, you've got this. Like, I really looked after myself. I got into shape, and I decided that you've got one life, and that I didn't want to look back when I was 50 and be like, oh, I wish I'd have made a bit more effort for that. So I went for a theme and I called it Taylor Swift, but make it emo, because Taylor plays all these huge arenas and she's like a boss, but obviously I'm an emo. So I went and bought this like sparkly outfit, and I went and got my makeup done. I don't wear, I'm a boy. And I remember walking out and all the boys were like, oh. And I was like, let's go. I wanted to feel like I fitted on. I wanted to like, that all gave me that confidence to be like, it's a big stage. I wanted to like feel like I filled it. And I remember looking behind me, and like people from Dashboard were watching, and like they were like nodding and they were like filming. And I was like, there was a couple of moments where I got choked up. And then I saw my dad in the crowd and my husband, and I just lost my mind. And my best friend was there. Honestly, I'm grateful I got made redundant, because it gave me 6 weeks to prep mentally and physically for that show. And I think if I was still working the grind, like long days, like busy, and then had to play that, I don't think I'd have been as clear-minded as I felt by having a bit of time off before. And then we went straight to Europe. So again, like, I think having that time off before all this gave me that like mental digestion and just relax. I still won't ever get over that. I'm forever grateful to Funeral for a Friend. And the fact is as well, when we came off stage, they were like clapping, and like various members took me off to one side and said really nice things, and I just couldn't speak. Believe it or not, I couldn't speak. When I think about that day, it gives me like shivers, because I just don't know how. I went to see Funeral for a Friend 16 years ago at that venue. And I remember watching them being like, this isn't me still, like, I'm going to do this. Manifestation, I think, is a real thing. And I think everything I've ever dreamed of genuinely as a child didn't happen when I really wanted it to. But by taking this like leap of faith that randomly came in my inbox, has transformed my life into now I can actually, what's your job, Jess? Oh, I'm a musician. What? I never thought that would be my calling, but I know it's what I'm supposed to be doing. So
we've got very similar journeys. I'm not saying I was a podcaster on stage in Worcester and stuff like that, but what I did do is I've worked very hard, and 2 years ago almost now, I left a job in recruitment, which was just mind-numbing and very office and very corporate and very sales focused and just not me. But I did it because bills need to be paid, and it's the life that you just have to go down because it's just the way it is. And when I left that, I thought to myself, I better look for another job in the same field, because that's all I've done for the last 10, 15 years. That's all people think I can only do. And I just thought to myself, and I have the support of my wife, who's my absolute world, but she was like, if you don't do it, you're never going to do it. And you need to do it all or nothing, because you need to launch your YouTube. You need to go to all the festivals. And by not having that safety blanket of a job that brings in the salary, that brings in the holiday pay, that brings in sick pay, it's terrifying. But what I did say to myself was, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all out. So I did Download Festival, officials, did specials for that, did 2000 Trees live on stage, did Art Tangent live on stage, managed to get my dream guests that I couldn't even dream of. If you told me when I was a kid I'd get to interview Brandon Boyd from Incubus or Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro, I would have told you to fuck off. I'd have been like, it's never going to happen. And now I feel like there's no stopping me. Like next year, I want my own stage at these festivals with other podcasts. I want to now not just think, okay, I've had Biffy Clyro. I want to go and get Dave Grohl. You know, it's like there's nothing stopping me. So someone says, "So Mark, what do you do for a living?" I'm like, "Well, do you know what? I'm living my dream. That's what I'm doing. I can say I'm a podcaster, and that's something that I never thought I could say."
You've made me feel really emotional for you because I just think that's such a beautiful story and like so similar recruitment 10 years. But you actually genuinely made me feel a bit, ooh, just because like how powerful is that like, and how lucky are we that we have what sounds like
Yeah.
extremely supportive partners that quite clearly are so selfless that our happiness is so important to them. Like hearing your story is beautiful, and I have no doubt that you'll do everything that you set your mind to.
If not, me and you might be sat in Subway working, selling sandwiches in a year's time and be like, remember when we did that interview and thought we could do this forever?
Hold on. If we both got recruitment of what between us both 25 years, let's just set up like let's do like recruitment for like the industry and like
that would be amazing.
I mean, I'm very much feeling it. We've just been talking today actually, you know, like my savings are running out, my money's running out. I've even taken up a little part-time role. Again, my husband at his company, he spoke to his boss about my situation, and then this part-time role came up, and it is like an admin assistant, and I'm not ashamed of it. And do you know what's really lovely? I've never been able to like walk in and like they're like, "You're right, you seem a bit on edge." I'm like, well, I'm not spinning 20 plates, and I've not because I'm so used to dealing with stakeholders and candidates and sales and
I hate all these words now.
Yeah. Give me up the bread. But
oh god,
I have had to take a part-time role because I have bills to pay.
Of course.
But my next I do a lot of I'm gonna say out here because I'm interested to see what would happen in a year, but I don't want to say too much, but one thing that I do is I have built a really successful following somehow the last year, and I will drop like a cover, and I'll be like really confident, or nervously put a rock horn if you want to hear more, thinking please someone just put a rock horn, because if no one replies, it's awkward.
Yeah.
And then I'm like a mass. So I've started speaking to industry people who are already doing it and being really successful, and I would like you, I want to keep doing this for as long as I'm able. So my thought process was to maybe actually bite the bullet and stop flirting with the idea and just set my Patreon up, set my tiers, reach out to my fans and be like, hey guys, I really want to be a musician still. I give you free vocal covers. I give you this, I give you that. I've got multiple industry people reaching out to me for singing lessons. Fill the fucking
That's
tier.
the future. That's it. That's how you do it.
I'm just going to I've made a decision that just after tour, I'm going to announce it publicly and be like, hey, if you want to hear me do covers now, you can also request them.
Just throw me a couple of pounds, yeah.
Yeah, and just see if I can do the part-time thing and this. I've even started cleaning for my nan. I will always remain humble. When my head's in that toilet scrubbing for a couple of pennies, there's no way this girl is going to stay anything but humble, because I'm doing anything I can. I put myself out there last year going, hey guys, I got made redundant. Does anyone want me to feature on their song? I got 3 bookings in a month. 3 paid.
And now imagine doing that again now after the success of the last year you've had with Dream State, and so many more people knowing your range and your abilities. So it just takes that bit of patience to take a step back, then build it all, build the Patreon, make sure the tiers are the right levels and that people get the right things, and delivering the goods, because it's a dangerous game to play if you're promising a lot of people stuff and then you can't fulfill it. But I'm sure you will. It'll be your drive. It'll be the reason to stop you going back to recruitment. It'll be the reason to keep Dream State a full-time job, and I'm sure you'll be successful.
I really missed that bonus. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I missed I was saying to the boys, you know, pre-pandemic, I used to go on 3 holidays a year. I would be able to eat out, whatever. And I said, look, this has humbled me. I'm what you class now as a starving musician, but I'm learning how to like. I'm learning. It feels like a brand new life for me. I'm 5 months in, and I'm like just adapting. And again, I sit here genuinely like just walked to the beach this morning, taking in that sea air, and I was just like, how fucking lucky am I to be waking up on a Wednesday, walking to a beach, and then all I've got to do this afternoon is talk on a podcast and write some songs.
And it's
Bless.
Thursday, so that and you're in the air that much. You've not even got the right day.
It's Thursday, but yeah, how excited! I'm so. I can't. I'm still like in my head thinking about your experience. Like, good on you, and I really hope that it just like keeps excelling. Like,
You got to
recruitment
just keep going.
will always be there.
I've told myself, and I don't want to offend anyone that works in recruitment or my old friends that listen to this, but I never want to have to go back. So I'm like, my pride is that like I've gone and done my time now. I've had the scars, I've had the candidates, I've had all the waiting lists and all this shit, and now I'm like, I feel like I don't need to ever do that again. I feel like I've tasted what's out there now in the bigger world, and to go back there would just feel like failure.
Do you know what I will say? I just want to say that let's say, God forbid, things didn't.
Yeah.
Life's a thing. So let's say it didn't. Please don't think you're a failure, because I have to say, like, just from what you've explained that you've achieved in this lifetime, like, oh my God, there'd be people that would die to do what you've done. So I would never say you were a failure. I would just say that door closed.
It
So
just
it's
ran out, didn't it? Yeah, there was so
yeah,
much.
so I think even if you did have to, God forbid, go back to that account management, enjoy your,
I'm not gonna. I'm gonna clean toilets at your nan's house.
you know something, there's plenty. She would, Nanny Bet, she's listening. She's from Belize. She's
Nice,
sassy Caribbean accent.
nanny
There's
bet.
there's plenty of toilets for you to be cleaning, and she would be delighted. I will say, like, so grateful my family. Like, I'll turn up at my mum and dad's, and bless them. Like, my dad's like, yeah, he's like, he's just an angel. Like, he works full time, and he's really, really good to my mom and stuff. And like, he'll like I don't know, I'll turn up there and then they'll be like, Jess, we've wired you like a little bit of money, and I'll be like, what the hell? And like, no, it's just to fill your car up so you can keep coming back to Worcester. Like, we really want to see you, but we really want you to go for this. Like, I suffered from a real dark bout of depression over the years, and
Yeah,
the deeper I got into, I guess, recruitment and wanting to like really push that, and I just don't think I was happy. And I think I was chasing a dream that perhaps wasn't my destiny. And one thing, apparently, everyone who's close to me, like, it's weird. I've lost a lot of friends for various different reasons, but like, I really thought I'd be surrounded by like all these people. But like, it's weird. I've just got my bestie, my husband, and my cousins who I'm super tight with. And I'm like, I'm all right with this. But the point of what I'm saying is just like, I think oh, my mind's just gone, but I had something really important to say.
when you're talking, then I am. Sometimes it's quite scary how similar we are, because I've worked in recruitment where there's all the big nights out after work, and you're in a big group, and everyone's your mate, and you're all talking about this what you watched on telly, and you're all this kind of big tribe, really, of people.
Yeah,
And the moment I left, no one really stayed in contact. It was like I had left this police force or left this group in an army, and everyone else was carrying on without me. And it really showed that they weren't my friends, they were my colleagues. And what's really important is I'm 41 now. All that matters to me is my wife. I've got 2 dogs, and that is all that matters. Anything else on top of that is a bonus. So I've got very close friends, and I can count them on 2 hands, but
yeah,
they're friends. They're not mates. They're not someone to have a beer with. They're people that I can call if I feel depressed. I can ring them if I'm having a great time. They will drop everything at the moment I ask, but also I'm there for them too. It's like a two-way thing. The people
that's,
that have come in my life that I'm always chasing, if I look back at my WhatsApp, it's always me saying, how are you? And do you want to do something? And I never get a response, or it's always feels like I'm just trying for no reason. They've gone. And less is more, and it's cheesy, but it's true. And as long as I've got the foundations of my two girls, which are my dogs, my
Yeah.
wife, and my close friends, I honestly feel like I've got everything I've ever needed.
That's so good. I think quality over quantity is certainly something I've learned. And I think what my point was, I think that I was thinking about was that when I was heavily depressed, I
Yeah,
felt like I couldn't be that life and soul. Like I loved like the big town drinking after Friday at 4. I think when I became really depressed and I couldn't leave my house and I didn't want to go to the pub and I didn't want to do this, like it's weird how you become like you see who your people are.
of
And
course.
everyone stood around me now who's waving this huge dream state flag, like my bestest friend, my boyfriend, my sister, my cousin, my dad, like I could say, and the boys have become like family. So like even though like the group is smaller, I've still got close friends who would come out of their way to watch us, and we go on dog. I've got a border collie, like he's beautiful. We go on dog walks. I've got my dog walk friends. So grateful for those people. My point of this is that when I was super low, it's like I don't think I was like obviously I wasn't very happy, but now I'm doing this again. All those people that matter in my life have made comments to me, whether it be like deep or just passing, like especially my family, of how they've seen this like lease of life back in me, and how that like there's always been apparently like this spark about me. Like I don't see it, I don't recognize it myself, but people that are close to me are like, Jessie, it's like hanging out with you like 10 years ago. Like you've got this like electricity, like I hug you and it's you just feel the energy, like you're so happy doing music. So I think the point I'm trying to make here is that one thing I'm really grateful for Dream State, even though it's transformed my whole life, my whole day to day, I wake up each morning and I feel happy. Like I have this ball of energy in my stomach every day, waiting like what email's going to come through today, what's going to be this, what's going to be that. It's so exciting, and I just can't express how grateful I feel that Dream State has given me the opportunity to like be on this platform and ultimately feel happy again. And I know you shouldn't rely on something to be happy, but I'm just going to ride this wave and hope that it just keeps bringing me peace and the calm that I'm feeling, and I'm loving
It
it.
sounds like you've had it so far, and 2023 was definitely the year to really get your kind of teeth stuck into it.
Yeah.
Show the world that you're serious. Show the world that Dream State is a different band now. You've earned that right, which does take time. You need to win fans over. You need to prove people, because everyone's waiting for you to fall, but you didn't, and you stood strong. And now the world's your oyster. Your new music's on the verge of being listened to by many people. You've already got festivals lined up for the summer, big festivals. It's not, it's not your little festivals. You've got your it's Download again, and lots and lots. I mean, is it official yet with Download?
Download, yeah, that was like
Yeah, that's on the post. So I'm just making sure I'm not releasing information that shouldn't be out there.
No,
Yeah,
that is like honestly, even if that's it, I understand like you have to festivals get like exclusivity, so it feels like we're not as busy. But I tell you what, quality over quantity comes in again, because oh my god, what a privilege to be playing Download. And again, big bucket list moment from my life. I'm not trying to think about Download yet. I've got the tour ahead of me,
Yeah.
run, which is in March. Big. So this time last year we did like 100 cap venues. For some reason they've booked us like 400 to 900 cap venues. I'm like, okay, let's see how that goes. No pressure. So got all of that to like look forward to in the next sort of 6 weeks. So we should be announcing some supports for that in the next couple of weeks, actually.
That's brilliant, and I'll make sure. I think you're playing somewhere in the Midlands. I'm Shropshire based, so I think is it Birmingham?
Basically, that's why I said it earlier in the podcast. That's like I've always opened that menu, so it's really important to spell it out. So please, Mark, come to Birmingham.
I will. I'll bring everyone I know, all 7 friends of mine. But it's weird because you talk about Worcester like I'm not going to know it, but I was at Ludlow College. So Worcester wasn't far away, and I've had friends in Worcester, so it's I'm a Shropshire boy, but I've obviously been in Ludlow and Worcester and all around that area. So I grew up watching some of the bands you've probably watched and been at the venues that you've been at, and the nights
Gonzo.
in Birmingham and Snobs and all these places I was at. So we've probably had a lot of the same places.
Yeah, no, love Shropshire and Ludlow. I've got a lot of family there, and there's a lot of people I grew up with that were from Shropshire. So
Yeah.
I'm from countryside, like country. So, yeah, I think what a small world. I wonder if we know any of the same people.
When this is finished, we will talk, and then it won't be
Yes.
that we're randomly shouting out people's names. But how I like to finish every podcast I do is the guest gets to choose the final song that's played. So it can be any band, any piece of music, any song, but something that means a lot to you. And I think I interview actors, writers, directors, musicians, but obviously people in bands struggle the most because your life is listening to music. But is there a song that you love that when I asked you the question today came to your heart before any other?
Do you know what did come to my head as soon as you said it? And I don't know if it's because I read a little article about a reunion for a Coachella. No Doubt.
Literally 24 hours ago, wasn't it? It was this big announcement, and it just says on at the bottom of the poster, plus No Doubt. And I was like, oh, fuck, wow.
I think it would be like, again, that's a powerful woman there that inspired me when I was young. I went through that white blonde stage. I used to stand there with my bandana and be think I was obviously not Gwen Stefani. I don't think I'll ever be, but the white blonde hair was there and the bandanas. She was just a badass. So let's get like No Doubt, like whatever you think, whatever song comes to
You
your mind.
choose whichever one you want. There's absolutely loads. I mean, obviously, the one that everyone goes for
Don't
is
Speak.
Don't Speak, you know.
I'm doing
Don't
it.
speak on a podcast. It doesn't really work, but it does.
I just think that is a banger, certified banger. So many people like call me their little, like when I was in recruitment and people found out I was in a band, because I did still do bands like in my earlier years in recruitment. And I'd be like, oh, I'm playing like the Flapper on Saturday. Do you want to come? They're like, oh, Gwen Stefani, because I have my white blonde hair. They're like, oh, you like Gwen Stefani? So like, let's go. Don't Speak. No Doubt.
I love that you were just talking about the Flapper and Firkin as well. What a great venue. Yeah,
What a-
amazing.
What a venue. Like, I've had some of the best nights of my life playing there and just being there. Big up the Flapper. I wish I could play, but apparently like I wanted to play on this run, but with this is not my words, with it's not big enough.
No.
And I was like, pardon?
Why don't you just do it anyway? Just set up and just call yourself a different name that night.
I did run my own festival there called Jade Fest. It was my friend's birthday.
That's cool.
I decided to run an all-dayer, so all my mates got to play. My husband was in a band at the time. We all just got to play a show with each other. I put my band on, all my mates' bands on. It was an all-dayer. I made fucking pee because I just love sales. I do.
Yeah.
Right, I loved the all-dayer. It was called Jade Fest, and it was that successful. I even strongly put to them a Jade Fest Part 2, which has never been done. But I actually think
Now might be time.
just like Dream State headline it, and then just every local band that wants a gig, put them on, and it's just a good.
That'd be
good
awesome.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm running off on a tangent.
No,
about
it's amazing, and I'm looking forward to people discovering your music, and obviously Still Dreaming, which is going to be out in January the 26th.
Yeah.
And I really hope people go along to the shows, buy some amazing merch, vinyls, which will help you and not mean that you have to carry on working in other jobs.
Yeah, we're DIY guys, so we don't have any fancy like label or manager. So please, I don't even. I'll go as far as beg at this point.
The tour in March and April has a lot of places. If you're in Nottingham, Manchester, Norwich, Northampton, there's places everywhere. So there's no excuse not to. And the Takedown Festival, obviously, as well. So that there's loads happening.
And we're playing in Spain. If there's any Spanish fans out there, we're playing Resurrection Festival. Just Corey Taylor and just
That's
to name
cool.
a few. I still can't. We just had a meeting with our booking agent, and like we've only been on with them like less than 3 months, and like to get Download and Resurrection locked in. Like, thank you so much, Atonal. I am.
And 2,000 Trees.
Oh yeah, Trees. Like they asked for us back, and Download did us a solid because obviously you get like exclusivity, but
Yeah.
think Download could see that obviously we had such an amazing year at Trees. My first ever time playing, and I've never played to that many people. Like, I actually remember saying, like, looking around the tent and being like, is everyone outside here for us? And everyone's arms just went up, and
I was
just
there. I was in the crowd. It was amazing.
Oh, well, that's why we're going back, because it was such a good time. So we've been invited back on like something called like the Legend stage or something. And
That's
just don't
awesome.
like. Anyway, yeah. Please
Well,
come.
it's genuinely been an absolute pleasure to meet you properly. We've been talking behind the scenes about making this interview happen. And it's, again, I think what we've learned about this podcast is it's all about timing. We could have done this when I first messaged you about 18 months ago, but none of this would have happened. It would have been a journey about you getting into the band and starting out. So I'm really glad that the story's been told today. And now we've been able to reflect on just the best journey we both had over the last 18 months, which I don't want to see crumble. I just want to both, in 2 years' time, do another podcast and we're both in LA and we're both like, oh, wow, how cool's this?
We're so similar. Yes, and absolutely. I wish you every continued success, and I'm very confident I'll see you around the festival circuit, if not one of the local shows on our run.
Definitely. I'll make it happen.
Thank you so much for having me. I really am grateful for your time, and
It's
been really
an absolute pleasure.
it's been genuinely enjoyable listening to your story too, because you got me teared, because I think it's just, you sometimes think you're going through something on your own, but it's actually really powerful that
A lot today I've gone, God, that's like me. God, that's like me. The recruitment, the long years of doing the job you hate, this taste of having something you love, finding success in the last 12 months, and reaping the rewards. And it just feels like, yeah, we're on the same path. It's a good road to be on.
No one will ever know about your nightmares, your nightmares. I'll make you sleep, I'll make you dream. Afraid to fail, afraid to fall.
So there it is. There's my interview with me and the amazing Jessie. What a beautiful human being, such an amazing voice. I'm loving the way that this band are going. And as you're listening to this, I think you should check out their brand new mini album called Still Dreaming. It's unbelievable. I'm so excited to see them at Download and 2000 Trees this year, and whatever else they're going to do. Also, if you're in the UK, they've got some dates coming up, so just check it out on their website or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or however you find out about gigs, because you need to see them live. They are amazing. If you've enjoyed today's episode, as always, please share it. Most of you out there now have a Facebook, Twitter or Instagram account. Just hit the share button or retweet. Basically, it means that anyone that's on your friends list might check out the band, check out the podcast. And if that happens because of you hitting one button, it really goes a long way. So please do that. And as always, the bills always need paying, so I do have a Patreon account. I don't force it on people, but I do say that if you like the podcast and want to give me that extra chance to do more episodes, there's a link on markandme.com, and you can sign up for as little as £1 a month. That's all it costs. You're getting on average about 6 to 8 episodes every month. On top of that, you get an exclusive episode just for Patrons. You get a welcome pack with stickers and badges. You get a newsletter every month, and so much more. And that'll continue. And if you really love watching interviews instead of just listening, I do have a YouTube channel. This interview right now with Jessie's up there if you want to go and watch it. There's also guests like Neil Blomkamp, there's Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro, Dave Lombardo, and so many more coming your way. It's getting really exciting and I'm putting a lot of work into it, so if you hit the thumbs up or subscribe, it means a lot. Before I go, let's give a quick shout out to the sponsor of the podcast. Thanks to the amazing guys at Richer Sounds. If you're in the market for a home cinema, TV, hi-fi, if that's what people call them anymore, I don't know, record deck, Sonos, or anything for audio and visual, go on richersounds.com and those guys will sort you out. Right, I'm going to go now because I've got more episodes to edit. I've got so much coming up for you and 2 massive interviews next week. So until then, listen to Dream State, take care, look after yourself, and I'll speak to you all very soon.